As we close this out today, let's focus on how to get the feedback we'd like to have and like the feedback that we actually get. Let's start with the boss that actually doesn't give you the feedback you need when you need it. So here's the thing. If we want to act like owners, then it's our opportunity. It's our responsibility to ask for that feedback, to be like feedback magnets that pull it in, even if it's not coming across. How do you do that? By asking better questions. And here's a few that I think are helpful in terms of pulling in that feedback and becoming a feedback magnet to get what you need when you need it most. The first category are called light bulb questions. This is how we gain clarity. It's how we focus on the what of feedback. You know, what's happening, where it's happening, what it means, and what it means for us. Questions like, can you tell me more about that? Or, what makes you say that? I'm curious. Or, have you seen this before? Has this come up in other places? Are you hearing this from other people? When we ask light bulb questions, we can make progress because we've now made sense of the feedback. So if you want to make progress on feedback, first make sense of the message. Then there are these funnel questions. Funnel questions focus on the how of feedback, not just the what. They drill down deep into the core of feedback and they help us understand the assumptions and the basis of that feedback. Questions like, how did you get there? How did you determine that? I'm wondering. Can you share your reasoning on this with me so that I can better understand you? What's really driving this issue for you? If we want to go farther with feedback, then we have to start by going deeper. And finally, chairlift questions, where we raise feedback to this new plane, where we can get a broader view of causes and connections and consequences of this information. It's where we become more aware from a higher view. What am I not considering here? What are some of the outcomes that I haven't looked at? What are my goals? Because if we want to give our performance a lift, then feedback can't stay on the ground. Light bulbs, funnels, chairlifts, they're powerful feedback magnets that can pull that information in when it's not always coming across. But if we want to connect the vision here at T-Mobile and connect the dots in our own performance, then sometimes when we get negative feedback, we have to make a choice. Is this going to leave me feeling bitter or better? So what do you do when you get feedback that you don't very much like and want to send back? Step one, ask yourself some hard questions. I tell my kids, whether feedback is a setback or a comeback, that's up to you. Because while we don't get to choose the feedback we get, we always get to choose where it goes. And when I tell my kids that, they're like, next. But it's true, because we always can control what happens next. So ask yourself a few questions. Is this personal? Am I the problem? Is it something that I can control? If it is, let me try to fix it. If it's not, move on. Is it pervasive? Is this feedback happening everywhere or just somewhere? Think of feedback as like a heat map. Where is it lighting up? Am I hearing this from other sources? Is this something I've heard before from other people, from my manager or colleagues? And is it permanent? Is this feedback here to stay or just here today? And if you ask yourself those questions, you can start to get more clarity around the feedback and help you move forward in a way that leaves you feeling better and not bitter. But we don't get better all by ourselves. For that, we need other people. And so widening the feedback circle is the second thing we can do to deal with the feedback that we get that we don't like very much. I have a challenge network. People in my life, loved ones, coworkers, people who know me, people who want to support me, who care about me, who will give me the real about my issues at work and in life, and they help me. Who's in your challenge network? Who do you turn to when you feel all turned around? Because we can't get better all by ourselves. And finally, return to the source. This is a hard step, but the two most important words you're supposed to say when you get bad feedback is not yes, sir, yes, ma'am. It's thank you. Express gratitude for that feedback, because that person who gave you feedback, it might have been hard for them too. And by you expressing gratitude, you're going to do two things. First, you're going to close the loop. You're going to make peace with the past, and you'll be able to move forward together. But you're also going to open a lane, because now that this individual knows that you're receptive to feedback, that you sat with it and thought about how you could grow together with it, it's more likely that person's going to give you feedback in the future. And you're going to open an invitation for dialogue and discussion and build more trust, because that person knows that there's a virtuous cycle waiting at the end of that conversation.